If you're in a toxic relationship, you need to go. It's the only option.
So today I want to discuss with you, what is a toxic relationship?
A toxic relationship is one in which it's not going to get better.
Okay.
It's not going to get healthy. You're not going to be okay within it. People would much rather be in a bad relationship than be single.
A lot of people I know who are like super self-aware. Why do they still go for a toxic relationship?
At the end of the day, we want to be loved. It happens to the most intelligent people. It happens to everybody. Self-aware people know they're overlooking it. Think about your friends. Your friends know that they're in bad relationships. Doesn't mean they're going to leave it. We overlook the red flags because every once in a while we see a green flag.
You want it to help you in life.
Right.
You don't want it to pull you down.
Stop ignoring your gut.
What do you think healthy love looks like?
And when you leave a toxic relationship, you may not necessarily feel relief right away. That doesn't mean it's not the right decision for you.
Jennifer, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
If I had to leave a toxic relationship, what would be my first step? Jennifer, you're an expert in clinical psychology, forensic assessment, and behavioral analysis.
Mm-hmm.
You're known for breaking down how and why people repeat destructive patterns in relationships, addictions, and self-sabotage. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So today I want to discuss with you, what is a toxic relationship? All right, the whole psychology of it and what goes around it. Why are most of the people in today in a toxic relationship? So before we get into that, what is a toxic relationship?
A toxic relationship is any time that both people's needs are not being met, right? So a toxic relationship is if you and I are in a relationship and your needs are being met and mine are only being met by coincidence, not because you're intentionally trying to meet them, not because you care to meet them. It's when one of our needs is more important than the other person's needs, okay? It's when manipulation is involved. It is when I care more about the outcome for myself than I care about the outcome for you, right? It is when we're not equal in that, right? Our needs need to be equal in a relationship for it not to be toxic. And I think it is far more common than we realize, because I think sometimes people are very aware that they're engaging in toxicity, and some people don't even know that they're engaging in toxicity because it's all that's ever been shown to them.
Right. And I sometimes feel that a lot of people would rather be in a toxic relationship and then rather be alone. Like,
100%,
why is that?
100%. If you have a room full of people, and we've done this before, right? Where we tell everyone to close their eyes and we say, raise your hand if you'd rather be in a bad relationship than no relationship at all. More hands are going to go up than they're going to stay down. People don't want to be alone.
Right.
We have decided as a society that your value and worth has a lot to do with whether or not you are in a relationship, right? And you hear people say when they're single, like, how are you single at 40? Like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Maybe nothing's wrong with you. We hear all these female artists, for example, like Taylor Swift, gets all this grief for how many songs she's written about going through breakups.
Right.
Maybe people are just moving away from toxic relationships. There's no value or worth in being in a relationship and being chosen by someone, right? And somebody wanting to stay around you. And I think that's what we've told people. So people would much rather be in a bad relationship than be single.
It's totally vanity at this point, right?
And it's performative. This idea that I may not even be happy, but at least I'm in a relationship. And think about it, right? Think about how social media is completely curated. So you don't see, the arguments that my husband and I have on social media. I don't post those, but I do, we do stop the argument real quick to take a selfie when we're on vacation so I can post that online, right? So if you're looking at everybody else's relationship from the outside and you're saying like, all these people are happy, not necessarily. Actually, as a therapist, I can tell you they're not happy because they're in therapy telling me about their partner. So I promise you they're not. But it's this idea of I'm seeing so much of this, right? I'm inundated by other people's relationships that I have to have this and I have to show the world that I have this, even if I'm not happy and even if I don't feel good about myself.
Right. It's interesting that you bring this up because like I just had Ian Reed on the podcast and we discussed the same thing. We were like, social media is giving us like the curated part of everything and it's like all the good cuts of your life. It's kind of rare for you to like post an argument. Like it does go viral, but it's rare to do that stuff. But we also discussed this thing about narcissists and how the term is being used loosely. I want to bring that up over here. Like, do you think the word toxic relationship is also being used loosely?
Yeah, I do. I think there's toxic behaviors and I think there's toxic relationships, right? And the example I always give people, and now my husband's going to learn about this because he's going to watch this episode. He doesn't know this about me. My husband borrowed my car a few years ago.
All right.
He borrowed it at night, and he came home, and I said, make sure you give me back my keys because I
Okay.
have to go to work in the morning. And he said, of course, I'm going to give you back your keys. And then the next morning, I couldn't find my keys. So I called him and I said, you never gave me back my keys. And he
Right.
said, yes, I did. I handed them to you while you were in the kitchen. And we went back and forth for like 20 minutes. And then at some point I went to the fridge to open it up to get a drink, and my keys were in the fridge because he had handed me the keys. But I was cooking, so I accidentally put them in the fridge. And until he watches this podcast, I never told him that I found the keys. Instead, I hung them up and told him that he misplaced the keys because I was so angry at him that I was going to win that fight. That is an absolutely toxic behavior. That is super manipulative, right?
Wow.
And now he's going to watch this and he's going to know. Sorry, honey.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Now he knows where the keys were.
Hey there. Thank you so much for watching. I really love the work that I'm putting in for you guys. And it would mean the world for me if you could just hit that subscribe button. Back to the podcast.
But there's a difference between toxic behaviors, and we all kind of have them, and a toxic relationship, right?
Right.
People can love us and have behaviors that they have to change. But a toxic relationship is one in which it's not going to get better.
Okay.
It's not going to get healthy. You're not going to be okay within it. Your self-esteem is not going to grow within it. You are not going to be confident within it. You need to get out of it.
Right.
Right? So if someone is in a toxic relationship, it is not about fixing them. That's not your job. I'm their therapist and I can't even fix them. If you're in a toxic relationship, you need to go
All right.
because it's the only option.
Think about it this way.
Mhm.
A lot of people in like the way you differentiate between toxic relationship and toxic behavior. Let's get into toxic relationship, right?
Sure. Yeah.
What kind of justifications people are telling themselves that when they're in that relationship, they're like, is it hope? Is it what is it?
I think it's hope. I think we all want to be loved. I think we all believe that we're the different one, right? So like, yeah, they treated all these other people horribly, but they're going to treat me really well because they love me. I know
Right.
they love me. And I think it becomes this thing where we overlook the red flags because every once in a while we see a green flag. Like when it's good, it's good. That's the thing about toxic relationships, right? It's kind of like a slot machine. If every time you pulled on a slot machine, you won, there'd be no
Yeah.
allure to gambling, right? It wouldn't be gambling anymore. You just put money in and get more money, right? Be an ATM machine. But I think because the reward is not fixed, right? Because the reward is intermittent, there's so much more to it. So if I'm in a toxic relationship, right? But every once in a while it's so great and every once in a while it's so fantastic, right? It's like I pulled that slot machine and I won that money. So now there's that drive for me to go back. Like, okay, I'm going to overlook the bad stuff because that good thing's going to come again. Right? And it works so well,
Right.
right? It is why people have gambling addictions. It's why casinos are billion-dollar industries. It works in relationships as well. It's why you hear people say, like, when I'm in a good relationship, it's so boring. And it's why when people are in a good relationship, they pick fights and they self-sabotage
Right.
because they want that intermittent reinforcement again.
It's also to do with yourself, right? It's entirely to do with yourself. That you chasing that toxic part are basically what you said is like 99% of is bad, and that 1%, that good part is what the justification is. That let's just take an example, right? A man and a woman are dating, right? They fight pretty much 24 hours. One day he brings her a rose, and that's enough to keep the woman hooked. Is that a right way to put it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, because now I get to tell my friends that he brought me a flower.
And
What I'm not telling you about is how awful he makes me feel on the inside.
right.
And how when I look in the mirror, I don't even like what I see anymore.
But then why are they in it?
Because it's better than being alone.
All right. Now that's a very good way to put it. So if I had to leave a toxic relationship, what would be my first step?
First, we need to look at safety, right? We know, and this is coming from the forensic stuff that I do, if you are leaving a physically violent situation, your chances of dying by homicide increase dramatically within the first 48 hours of leaving that relationship, okay? So we always need to look at safety,
All right.
which is why when you hear people say, well, then why don't they just leave? Because they might die. That's why they don't just leave,
Right.
So people need to have a plan. You need to know if it's safe to leave. And if it's not safe to leave, you need to create a plan that allows it for you to be safe. Someone needs to know you're leaving. You need a place to go that is safe. You need help. You need resources,
All right.
right? If safety is not an issue, okay, and you're like, I'm not worried about being hurt. This is not a physical safety issue, right? You need accountability. You need a person who's going to say, nope, we are packing up your stuff and we're going.
Right.
Like, nope, we are changing their name in your phone to absolutely do not answer. We are blocking them on all social media accounts, right? But sometimes it's about taking that step. And here's the thing, when you leave a toxic relationship, a breakup's a breakup. You may not necessarily feel relief right away, right? That doesn't mean it's not the right decision for you. Okay? Because don't forget, when we get that intermittent reinforcement, when you pull that slot machine and you get money, you get a huge bout of dopamine and serotonin, right? Like that feels incredible. Okay? Same thing when he brings you that flower and it's been a terrible relationship, right? So when you leave that relationship and you're not getting that dopamine and serotonin, or maybe they haven't blocked you on social media and they like your post here and there, there's dopamine and serotonin, right? So you don't feel that relief. It doesn't feel great. And I think that's the thing people will say. They'll say, I left a week ago and I'm still so sad. It doesn't mean it wasn't the right thing for you.
Right.
Your brain has to acclimate to that and get used to sort of your neurotransmitter changes. And here's the thing about healthy, it's boring. Healthy is boring.
Right.
Right? Whether we're in healthy relationships or we're eating healthy or we're just healthy adults, right? Like healthy adults, for example, like don't go out drinking till 2 a.m. every night, right? They stay home and watch The Bachelor and they fold laundry. That's pretty boring.
Right.
It's healthy though.
Right.
So I think we sometimes confuse like excitement with good. And in some situations in our lives, excitement is not good.
I'd like to push back on that a little.
Go for it.
I'd say like for the start of every relationship, it needs that emotional wave.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be some sort of sparks, butterflies.
Yeah.
But I think in the long term, like seeing anyone in a long-term relationship, they're able to sit with each other in the boring moments.
Yes.
Like there's no emotional wave, which I see in like a toxic relationship. I've had people, my friends and like a few people that I've known, been in and out of toxic relationships. And it's only these waves that they're hooked onto. Like
100%.
the sad part, the good part, they're just not able to get out of it.
Right, right.
Versus I have very few friends and probably family, when I see them, they're able to sit with each other in silence.
Yeah.
They're able to like be happy. They don't have to have like they're not trying to impress each other anymore.
Right.
Obviously they want to work on themselves. That's a different aspect of a relationship.
Right.
But it's just being in the boring part.
Right. And don't confuse butterflies with anxiety, because I think that's sometimes what we get in the beginning, where people, I think there's a difference between saying like, when this person texts me, I smile, or when this person touches me, like it's kind of electric, versus like, I haven't heard from them in 3 days. So when they finally text me back, I get this like surge of energy. And it's like, that's anxiety. That's you not feeling secure enough in that person's presence that you're ever going to hear from them again. Right. So, and I think there's something, because we're talking a little bit about forensics today. There's individuals who have survived serial killers will tell you that they felt an energy rush when they met that individual.
Right.
There's part of our brain, there's the animal part of our brain that often can pick up on threat. Right. When we look at acts of violence, and we typically know acts of violence are coming, whether we're conscious to them or not. And individuals who have survived serial killers have actually said that they felt this surge of energy in the beginning of the relationship, or when they first started having interactions with people. And sometimes that's your animal brain telling you that you should have anxiety and you should run.
Wow.
So there's a difference between a spark and a person giving you anxiety.
So how do you differentiate between that?
I think you have to like...
A lot of self-awareness?
Yeah. Am I okay if you don't answer my text right away? Am I okay if you leave me on red? So if you have your read receipts on and I know that you left me on red, right? Am I okay with that for a reasonable amount of time? So maybe it's 1 p.m. and I know you work till 5.
Right.
Right? If I see that you read my message at 1 and you don't respond until 5:30, do I have anxiety for those 4.5 hours, or do I say like, listen, this is a person with a job?
Right.
Right? So I think this idea of like, and then when that text comes through at 5:30, it's, oh, good. They're out of work and now they're responding to my message. That feels good. Right? There's that spark. Or when they look at me, I feel that spark. But I think like pay attention to your gut. If your body is physically uncomfortable around a person, pay attention to that. It's not a Hallmark card. It doesn't feel romantic. Right. But pay attention to it, because it might be toxicity that you're actually picking up on.
I think a lot of people want to put logic into this.
Yeah.
When the same example, like if someone's working till 1 o'clock and they don't respond till 5:30, or they're working during the day. Basically what I feel is like a lot of social media expectations or a lot of personal expectations. Like if you respond to someone the minute you see a message, doesn't mean that the other person also has to. And
Right.
also depends on what point of the relationship you are in.
Yes.
Like if it's like just the beginning, cut the person slack.
Right.
But if it's like 20 years into it and suddenly something changes, that's when you go for your gut feeling.
Right.
Right?
Right. And also, I'm going to tell you that I'm an immediate responder because I have an anxiety disorder. So if I know that there's a text message on my phone, I
Right.
have to respond to it
Okay.
because I don't like to leave it hanging. Not necessarily because other people are poor communicators. It doesn't make me a better communicator. It just makes me a person with anxiety.
Right.
So I think when you say like, I respond immediately,
Yeah.
well, right. But that might have more to do with you than it has to do with the communication patterns of the other person.
Yeah, you can't expect the other person to follow the same thing.
Right. You're not the same people. Right.
Exactly.
And actually, maybe you shouldn't respond to text messages that quickly. Like, take a beat.
Unless they're urgent.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure
Right.
like if you're her husband or like your son
Yeah.
texted you right now.
Yeah.
You're dropping everything, right?
Well, and that's the thing.
Depends
like,
on the text.
If my husband, we've been married long enough that if he messages me, it's absolutely logistical. He needs me to pick up food. He needs me to pick up my kid.
Right.
He locked his keys out of his car. He's not sending me a meme during the day. We're married. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like dating where that's the kind of communication you're having. So I think what you said earlier was it depends on how far into the relationship you're in.
Right.
Changes that communication pattern? Like, absolutely.
What do you think healthy boundaries are like?
Healthy boundaries are one in which you don't have to agree with me, but you agree that my boundaries should be respected.
Okay.
So for example, if I like to text throughout the day, if I
Right.
like to text throughout my workday, and you say like, Jen, I actually cannot focus at work if I text throughout the workday, I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to say like, well, what about when you take a lunch break? Well, don't you ever go to the bathroom?
Right.
Don't you ever walk away from your desk and look, I saw you on Instagram. I saw that you were active. Healthy boundaries means I don't have to agree with you, but I have to hear that that is something you need in your life. And I
Okay.
respect that. The only people who don't respect boundaries are people who don't benefit from respecting your boundaries,
Okay.
right? Like if you said to me, if you had reached out to me today about this podcast and you had said like, listen, I'm going to be completely unavailable until 5:45.
Right.
I wouldn't have started messaging you at 3:30.
Right.
I would have waited till 5:45. Right? Because why would I not? Because why wouldn't I respect your boundaries? But the second people are in some sort of romantic relationship, it's this idea of I actually don't have to respect your boundaries.
Okay.
And that's not true.
So think about it this way. Like, would you say like in a healthy boundary, like let's take the example of someone texting. If it's a guy and a girl, let's just say the girl is busy from 1 to 5 and she doesn't want to text. The guy says that I'd really like it if you text me. And the girl says, I'm sorry, I can't. Both of them are being clear and upfront, right? Is there any level of toxicity in that?
No, maybe she's not his person. So I think there's a difference between boundaries and compatibility, right?
Okay.
So I think sometimes we ask people to cross their own boundaries because we actually want them to be more compatible with us.
Right.
In reality, he just needs to date somebody who wants to text throughout the workday.
Okay, so that comes down to like whatever's like your deal breaker, red flag, and that
you can
kind
have
of
your
stuff.
non-negotiables. And I think there's a difference between my negotiables and my non-negotiables, right? I may want you to text me throughout the day, but I can be in a relationship with a person who doesn't. If you're the type of person who cannot be in a relationship with someone who doesn't text throughout the day, and that's your non-negotiable, and someone is setting that as a boundary, it's unfair of you to ask them to break that.
Right.
They're
And-
just not your person.
Exactly. That's the way to put it. They're not your person. They're not a bad person. for
No,
that.
they're just not your person.
Right. I think in today's like hyper, like I'm sure you see it on Instagram, it's literally like the most controversial stuff that comes on top of it. People are like, I'm ready to walk away.
Yeah.
This person is horrible. He's toxic or she's toxic. They're just not a texter.
And they're also just not compatible with you. I think if we actually started dating for compatibility, listen, dating's a luxury, right?
Right.
This idea that we date so you can figure out who you're actually compatible with, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. There's a luxury in being able to do that,
Right.
right? If we actually entered long-term relationships with people who are truly compatible in our lives, you'd probably see a lot of healthier relationships. But I think two incompatible people end up together because they don't want to break up, they don't want to be alone, or they genuinely do love each other, but they're incompatible. And then they ask each other to cross each other's boundaries. And what you have is a relationship in which boundaries are no longer being respected because people just want things to be okay.
Okay.
Maybe they're just not your person.
That's a good way to put it. So how do you like enforce these boundaries? Do you just say it out loud? Because I feel like some people have too many boundaries.
Sure.
Versus there are some people who just love getting walked over, which I would say is a different issue altogether.
Yeah, right.
And even the other extreme where they're like, you can't talk to me in this tone. You can't
Yep.
talk to me in that tone. There's two different extremes.
Right.
How do you handle both?
I think there's a difference between healthy boundaries and being so passive that you're not taking care of yourself and being controlling
Right.
and controlling other people.
Okay.
Right. And healthy somewhere in between. This idea of I know what I need, and I can say that in very black and white terms. Okay. So for example, if I am traveling, my husband and I always text each other when I'm in the hotel for the night and he's in the house for the night. That's respect we have for each other. I want to know you're home safe. He wants to know I'm in the hotel safe at night. Okay. That is something we've agreed on. That's a boundary.
Right.
Okay. But if I'm in a relationship with someone and I say like, I don't really know what time I'm going to get in the hotel at night. And they're like, well, you have to be in by 10. I don't want to date someone who's not in the hotel by 10. That's a bit controlling.
Right.
Or if you're sitting at home saying, I'd really like to know that my person is safe because they're traveling for work, but I don't want to ask them if they're safe because I don't want them to get mad at me because I'm asking them where they are. That seems really passive. So
I like those examples.
Healthy somewhere in between.
Yeah.
This idea of that can be true, but we can do it in a way that's not controlling.
Right. I think a lot of people want to quantify this, and it's
Yeah.
not able. You're not able to do this.
No.
You're a human being. Like, this is psychology.
Right.
What do you think healthy love looks like?
Healthy love, I think, looks very different than romantic love.
Okay.
I think, it's interesting because we've gotten rid of describing love in different ways, right? Nietzsche actually talks about this. Nietzsche actually talks about how healthy marriages are rooted in friendships that turn into love.
Right.
A friendship that turns into love are two people who genuinely enjoy each other. And as a result, a love has grown out of that. I think there is romantic love and there's romantic sparks, but sometimes those people are not friends.
Right.
And a lot of people come to therapy because they want to talk to me about the roommate that they're in a relationship with, right? So like my husband's become my roommate, my wife has become my roommate, right? Because you weren't friends or you're not trying to be friends. Healthy love is two people who genuinely enjoy each other, are willing to respect each other's choices, whether they understand them or not, right? So for example, you may watch football on Sunday and I may not get that. But if that is something that's super important to you, I don't spend every Sunday picking a fight with you because I don't want you to watch football.
Right.
I understand that while I don't understand football, I understand it's important to you, right? That's healthy love.
Right.
And healthy love is two people who at the end of the day, if my husband doesn't answer my text message, I don't assume it's because he hates me, right? I assume it's because he's busy.
Okay.
Right? Or I assume he didn't see the text
Right.
and I should call again. That's healthy love. A relationship that gives you anxiety when there's no response, that's not necessarily healthy love.
Maybe one-off events like when you have anxiety when someone's not responding, but
Sure.
let's say like 90% of the relationship, you want it to help you in life. You
Right.
don't want it to pull you down.
No, absolutely. Your relationship should be better. My grandmother told me this once, and she actually was a therapist, but what she said to me was a healthy relationship is one that at the end of the day you are better for being in
Right.
than you would have been if you weren't in it. And what I think she's saying is like there are relationships that bring us balance, that bring out better parts of us, that make us be better people,
Right.
right? But at the same time, it's with someone who we genuinely enjoy doing life with.
Well, I mean, she said a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That brings me back to like one thing. Like we have in India called arranged marriage. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yep.
I think a lot of it conceptually is built around that compatibility first.
Yeah.
Friendship first, I guess, and then you build the whole relationship. And that's probably one of the reasons it works out.
Yep.
There's reasons to say that it doesn't work out as well because like there's social issues, like divorce is more accepted in the US than in India. But I think primarily the foundation of it is built around that you don't know anything about each other. The parents know something about each other. I hope they do. Yeah. And they build the foundation entirely around that. Finances, compatibility, culture, tradition. And then if you're not starting with love, they say that if you've started with that and love comes into it, it works out better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, I and you could stop me if I'm wrong because I don't know enough on the Indian culture to speak on this, but from what I understand, arranged marriage looks very different today than it used to, right? Meaning like brides and grooms have more of a voice in the match than they used to. Am I wrong in saying that?
I would hope so.
Okay. And what we've seen is that there's people who are in arranged marriages where they've actually spoken on this and actually said, like, listen, this is someone who love came later, but this was actually someone who was really good for me. They were a good balance for me. There was good compatibility.
Right.
So I think if done correctly, I think, yeah, there's something there.
I've seen like a lot of matchmaking happening in the US, and like people have started to compare. Like there's like a hybrid that's come up between the US and India.
Okay.
Like India's gone from the thing where arranged marriage used to be like, hey, you're getting married tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Versus in the US, it was entirely the opposite of that. Now they've come to like some middle ground, which is interesting to see.
Yeah.
Coming back to toxic relationships, right? I have a lot of people I know who are like super self-aware. Like they know everything about themselves. They know their attachment styles. They know what they can do. And like they've hyper optimized every aspect of their life. Why do they still go for a toxic relationship?
At the end of the day, we want to be loved. At
Right.
the end of the day, we want to be chosen. At the end of the day, we want to believe that somebody wants us more than they want anybody else.
Right.
I think there's a difference between being self-aware and really believing that your value does not sit in another person.
Right.
Right. I think even really self-aware people will tell you, like, I know this is a bad relationship, but I don't want to end it.
Right.
I think it is a fallacy to believe that ending up in a toxic relationship has anything to do with a lack of self-awareness or intelligence or whatever it may be. It happens to the most intelligent people. It happens to everybody. Because at the end of the day, like, love is not about intellect.
Right.
We just want to be wanted.
Right.
We want to be part of something.
Right.
We don't want to be alone. So we overlook a lot. Self-aware people know they're overlooking it. Think about your friends. Your friends know that they're in bad relationships. Doesn't mean they're going to leave it. They're probably not unaware, though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anyone personally, at least now.
Sure.
But yeah, there used to be a time when I knew these people.
Yeah.
It was interesting to watch from the outside, though.
Sure. Fair enough.
In 2025, a study of romantic relationships found that childhood trauma indirectly predicted lower romantic satisfaction via its impact on adult attachment style. Which is, I don't think it's only 2025. People have known this for like God knows how long.
Yeah.
So what kind of attachment patterns get exploited the most?
I think there's two types of attachment patterns that we see a lot in relationships. We see avoidant and we see anxious.
Right.
And those two people end up together. Right? So there's the avoidant who doesn't want to talk about their feelings and the anxious person who's like, I only feel good about myself if you talk about your feelings. So I'm now going to chase you. And this person keeps pulling further and further away and they're now going to chase, right? Both relationship types are people who usually were children that had some sort of experience that didn't teach them that love was super consistent and unconditional. Right. So if you raise your kids to believe that love is unconditional, right, you raise really confident people. If you engage in abuse with your kids, whatever type of abuse that is, whether it's verbal, psychological, physical, right, you tend to raise avoidantly attached adults because they say, like, listen, the person who is supposed to love me the most, like, didn't. So how could I ever trust that you love me? How could I ever trust anything about you? And when we're looking at anxiously attached adults, we're usually looking at people who felt like they had to earn love from their caregivers. And maybe that was because their caregivers were good people, but they were not great parents, or they were distracted, or they had some mental health conditions or addiction issues. So now you've got this kid who feels like they constantly had to earn praise and love from their parents. So now you've got an anxiously attached adult. And those two people end up together all the time.
Okay.
It's a whole thing.
So, like, which one is the most likely to suffer? I feel like, just looking at it from the outside, I feel like the anxious one would be the one
Well, I guess it
suffering
depends
more.
on how you define suffer, right? So I think on the surface, I think in the most obtuse way or the most blatant way, you're going to see the anxiously attached person suffer the most because they're going to suffer outwardly. Right. This idea of like, I just want to be loved. Like, just answer the phone. I just want to have this conversation with you. Like, I just want things to be okay. Your avoidant is going to self-sabotage. So your avoidant is still going to suffer because they're going to push away all the relationships, even the healthy ones.
Yeah.
Right. Which means they're not going to have that healthy attachment. They're not going to learn that people who say they love them actually love them.
Right.
So they're both suffering. I just think the suffering looks different.
It's when I had someone on this podcast, like Julia came on this podcast, she's a therapist, and she said this thing that really stuck with me.
Sure.
She said that a lot of people in today's dating environment, right? There's this whole pride that comes from being avoidant, where they're like, oh, like I don't really fall in love. I don't do any of this. And she said the most profound thing. She said, if you're avoidant, you're not scared of getting hurt. You've already been hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You've already been hurt. The two people or the person in your life who should have loved you the most wasn't capable of it, whatever that may be.
Right.
If you've been hurt by your caregivers, if you've been hurt by your parents, right? A guy I go on a date can't hurt me.
Yeah.
Right? If at 5 years old, I was already taught that love is conditional, you can't hurt me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. The truth is, they're not happy though. And I also think there's this belief that like, it's cool to not be attached.
Yeah.
It's cool to not care. And listen, I don't want you to be codependent.
Right.
So sure, I want you to have some independence and I want you to like yourself enough that you're not like staring at the phone all the time.
Yeah.
But also like, it is cool to love somebody. It is cool to want people to love you back.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I like that because I tell a lot of my friends this as well. When they're like, oh, I'm just like, I want to play cool. I don't want to fall in love. I don't want to do it. I'm like, you're kind of missing out the whole point of it. You're just trying to do this thing. It's manipulative.
Yeah.
Like I would say to some extent it's being a sociopath.
Yeah.
Right? If you're the avoidant one. On the other side, I think coming back to like, again, social media blowing this up, the whole dating environment is like skewed towards drama, towards boundaries that should not be there, towards this, what you said, codependent, right?
Yeah.
Anyone who's like going in a relationship when they're like expressing the basic need as a human being that they say, oh, he didn't say I love you for like 6 months. They're like, oh, that's acceptable today because like I want to be independent. I don't want to, but you're kind of missing out. That's not the way it's supposed to be.
Also, like it's great to fall in love. Like falling in love is fantastic. It feels great. So I think people who are saying that they are okay with not having that, like we love falling in love. It's okay. It's also okay to fall in love and fall out of love.
Right.
I think we're so afraid to fall in love because we don't want to fall out of love. You're not actually protecting yourself from pain. You're just missing out on some of the good stuff.
It's like just putting like a completely different example. Like you're going for skydiving, right? Oh, I'm not going to skydive because I'm just not going to enjoy it. Or I might enjoy it too much. So I'm not going to do either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just going to sit and watch my friends skydive.
That's exactly what's happening. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Coming to the world of the modern dating era. How do you think manipulation shows up in today's digital world?
I mean, I think it shows up in a few ways. I think there's some really obvious ways that it shows up, right? Like through, completely presenting yourself differently than you really are in the world.
Catfishing.
Right, catfishing.
Yeah.
Right? And there's different ways that we catfish. We catfish through physical appearances,
Right.
But we also catfish through achievements or interests or things about ourselves, about our character that are not necessarily true, right? And if anyone's listening and saying, catfishing an appearance that's vain, Mother Nature wants you to be attracted to the person that you are in love with,
Okay.
right? Mother Nature, at the end of the day, her only goal is for you to just have a bunch of babies. Right? That's how she populates the earth. And she can't do that if you're not attracted to the person that you are in a relationship with. So like, sure, it's vain, but like we deserve to be attracted to people. That's fun.
Right.
Right. And we all have different levels of attraction and feel differently towards other people. So I think there's catfishing. I think there's that. I also think there is the use of technology to make myself feel better than you so that I have sort of some control over you within the relationship. So whether it's leaving you on red intentionally so that you see that I don't answer you immediately. Whether it is turning off my location, if you and I share a location and I go out with my friends and I turn off my location at night because maybe it makes you a little jealous, or maybe I refollow my ex on social media because I want you to see that I followed them. Or maybe there are guys commenting on my posts and I'm liking their posts, their comments. Right.
Okay.
So I think when we're looking at social media, when we're looking at dating apps, we're looking at different ways to manipulate.
Right.
Right. So I want you to see that other people are interested in me. that's really not that healthy.
But a lot of modern dating works on that,
Absolutely.
right? I think like especially with the men and women like wanting each other,
Mhm.
there a lot of people like I've personally had people who said this where they're like, he didn't like me until some other guy came and talked to me.
Yeah.
So now it's the thing where like that's the rule. I
Mhm.
gotta get some other guy interested in me for him to come and talk to me.
Mhm. And what about that other guy? It's so manipulative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't even look at it that way.
Yeah, that poor guy over there. Yeah.
That's the way it works for guys as well. Like
Mhm.
they see social proof in terms of girls liking another guy.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, what's up with this guy?
Mhm.
And a lot of dudes I know will literally have a bunch of girls around them for the sole reason of getting other girls. So it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it that bad? Like always? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think the other thing too is like we also live in this era of immediate gratification,
Right.
and dating apps allow for that, right? So I always laugh when I go out with my friends and we go to dinner or we have drinks, and I always say to my friends like, people don't talk to each other in public anymore because they don't have to. They're on dating apps, not speaking to people in restaurants, and that's okay. Go out with your friends, have a great time, but there's immediate gratification in the app, right? Like I don't have to like get up the guts to walk across the bar, maybe get rejected by you, maybe have a conversation with you and see if we have anything in common. I can look through 10 photos of you
Right.
and decide if I like what I see. And then I can like you. And if you like me back, there's immediate gratification in that. We can immediately start a conversation, something low stakes, right?
There's no rejection in that. Or even
Right.
if it is, it's not like
Well, it's a numbers
directly.
game.
Exactly. Like
Right.
if you swipe on someone on the app and they don't swipe on you, you're never gonna. I mean, you do find out if they don't match with you.
But it's not face-to-face rejection.
Right.
Right.
And I think there's this author called Scott. His name is Scott Galloway,
Okay.
and he came out with his book today, I believe. It's
Mhm.
called Notes on Being a Man. And I haven't read the book, but he came on like a podcast or something,
Mhm.
and he says that 45% of
Oh,
men.
I saw this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that 44 or 45% of men have never approached a girl in their
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad.
Well, we've been taught that rejection's not okay.
Okay.
Right? When in reality, maybe you're just not my person. Or maybe I had a horrible day. Maybe my dog died and I'm out with my friends and they're trying to cheer me up and you come over and you want to buy me a drink and I say no.
Right.
Maybe it has nothing to do with you. It's about my dead beagle,
Mm.
right? So I think that's the thing. I think, and it's funny because I was thinking about that statistic, another statistic when I heard that today, that 50% of women over the age of 30 are now choosing to stay single.
Right.
Something's happening, right? And I think it's this belief that rejection is bad, when in reality, rejection is just a pivot. We don't have to feel poorly about ourselves when we're rejected. We just have to understand that someone said no. And you saying no isn't necessarily a reflection of me.
How do you explain that to people though? Because I've heard this and I've explained this to a lot of my friends. And I've heard it from them saying that I never get rejected or I don't want to get rejected. What's something that I could tell them to be like, look, this is not a reflection of you. The exact example, I mean, I didn't explain the dog thing, but I said something else. Like 90% of the time, it's not about you. 10%, yeah, maybe she doesn't like you,
Sure.
or he doesn't like you, or you're ugly, or something like that.
Mhm.
But beyond that, like, how do you convince someone to like get out there?
Again, it's a numbers game. You can't be accepted by someone if you don't allow yourself to be rejected by somebody, right? So it's kind of like applying for a job.
Right.
If I'm only applying for jobs I know I'm going to get, I'm not going to get my dream job.
Right.
Right? If I'm only talking to people who I absolutely know are going to say yes, maybe I'm not meeting the people who really are for me. I think the other thing too is like, it's kind of like training wheels on a bike.
Right.
Like if you haven't asked anyone out, if you haven't offered to buy anyone a drink in 10 years, like you're a little rusty.
Yeah.
You know, part of it too is that maybe you just made someone a little nervous and uncomfortable when you came at them because you hadn't asked anybody to buy them a drink in a decade, and it made people a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So like get the rust off your training wheels, but also like it's not that serious.
Right.
I think that's the thing. Like we take rejection so seriously. No one wants to be rejected. I don't want to be rejected,
Right.
right? None of us do. But I think we take it so seriously that we're missing out on things. You can't get the good stuff if you don't risk the bad stuff.
I remember reading this somewhere where someone said that I only need 50 rejections to meet my next partner. If I look at it that way, like I just have to get rejected by 50
Yeah.
guys or girls.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the 51st person, they might be it. And
Right.
at that point, I've gone through 50 people knowing that I gave it my all. And
Right.
this one person said yes to a date. Then what's the problem?
No relationship works until the one that does.
Right.
So until you find the relationship for you that's going to be that relationship, the rest of them never are going to work, whether they reject you immediately at the bar or they reject you 18 months in.
I also like to ask this question to people who got rejected. Do you even remember what their face looks like?
No, I've absolutely been rejected. I know I have, and I don't remember them.
Nothing about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see them either during the day or in a nightclub, you don't remember anything.
No.
And they don't remember you. You might walk across each other like on a street and be
Right.
like, maybe I've seen that person. Who knows?
Also, it's not that serious. You're a stranger to me. It doesn't matter if you reject me. It doesn't speak to me at all.
Right. Coming back to the topic, how do you tell on a dating app if someone has like real confidence or they have like a fake charm?
I think sometimes someone who is truly confident, there is reciprocity in them talking about themselves and also asking about you.
Okay.
People with fake charm will sometimes try to make you feel as though you are the only person in the room, and you will walk away from that conversation recognizing that you learned very little about them. Someone with fake confidence will also ask you nothing about yourself potentially and only talk about themselves.
Okay.
People who are truly confident can share the conversation. There can be reciprocity in that. I'm confident enough in myself that I can tell you about me, but I also want to learn about you.
Right.
Because I'm confident enough that I need to see if you're compatible. If I have low confidence, I'm maybe looking at things like, do I need to say the right thing so this person chooses me?
Okay.
Not the authentic thing, not the genuine thing, but do I need to say the right thing so they choose me? Or do I need to say the right thing so that I can manipulate them? But in genuine confidence, there's reciprocity in that because I'm truly just trying to get to know you because I'm confident enough in myself to see if we're compatible.
Okay. That's a really nice way to put it. And then that comes with charisma as well, right?
Yeah.
If you want to like, that's what they say. I think it was JFK and a lot of other people as well. They say that if you go talk to someone and you make them feel like the most important person in the room, they like you.
Yeah.
So that's where like, it's a little bit of a different thing, but I'd say like confidence comes from that. Like today, if I go talk to someone and I'm not all I'm talking about is like gloating and I'm talking about myself, that's fake charm.
Yeah.
Whereas confidence comes from trying to get to know the other person, and they do the same. So it's a confident conversation. Is that
confident conversation, and you kind of have to allow the person to see you. And listen, I'm not suggesting you trauma dump within the first 10 minutes of meeting somebody, but what I am saying is like we all have our weird, right? We all kind of have our weird. My husband will tell you that like I love to talk about murder just because of what I do for a living. Like I just love to talk about forensics and murder. And when I meet people, whether it's friends or, you know, not romantic now, but I'm married, but when I meet people, like I need people who understand that that's kind of my weird. Right? So if I go into every relationship with like, I can't let them know this about me, it's not authentic, it's not genuine, there's no compatibility in that. So I think when there's a confident conversation, people let out little bits of themselves to see if like, listen, like, are you genuinely going to like me for who I am? Or am I going to have to hide parts of myself around you? Because if I am, you're not my person.
You mentioned something about working with inmates.
Yeah.
What did you learn from them?
I have learned that I will never have my bedroom on the first floor because this is the easiest way to break into somebody's house, just so you know. So my bedroom will always be on the second floor. But I learned that everyone is capable of a lot of things.
Good or bad?
Good or bad. I think humans are humans. And I think there's always the outliers to the population that we're not really kind of focusing on. But for the most part, when you look at the general population, most people are capable of a lot of things.
I really have a lot more questions, which I'll ask you off camera.
Okay.
It's something that really I think it's like true crime and my obsession with it.
Yeah, we're all obsessed with it because there's something different to it. Yeah.
They say that you're psychopathic if you love true crime or something.
They do say that.
Let's not listen to them.
Yeah, let's not listen to them. Let's just keep watching it.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. We talked about arranged marriage. Would you go into one?
I don't think so. I
Why?
don't really like the concept of it.
What don't you like about it?
I think that's a really good question. No one's ever asked me that.
Well,
Even
I told you
Indians
I
themselves.
therapize you. Yeah.
So I think that I really want to go find my person. And just if the fact that my parents bring them, I want to get rejected by a lot of people.
I like that.
And I think it's something a lot of people like laugh at me for saying that. I'm like, I would rather get rejected by 100 people or 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Mainly girls. I mean, all girls. But yeah, but if I want to meet the person on my own, and if my parents set me up, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to blame them. So I don't
Sure.
think they want to do that either.
That's a very refreshing answer. I need you to know that.
Right.
That you want to be rejected that many times to find your person.
Or maybe not that much. 1,000 times is a lot. But
No, but there's a reality show spinoff idea on that.
on my life?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Get rejected 50 times and then find your person.
Have you seen that thing, 90 Day what is it, 90
Yeah,
Day Fiancé?
90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, that
You
looks
could do
like
50 rejections. I'd watch that. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. I've seen like a lot of American women get married to Indian guys in that.
Yeah, yeah.
And those reels keep popping up, and those are hilarious to watch.
Is that become your algorithm now? American women marrying Indian guys?
Yeah, maybe.
Fair.
That's okay. So, as part of this podcast, like as a closing tradition, I asked the guests to leave advice for the audience based on what they've talked about throughout this whole talk. So, what would you like to leave for the audience?
Okay. I would say listen to your gut. Your gut knows. Your gut knows if a person is for you. They know if you are compatible. They know if someone is unsafe for you. They know if they are toxic for you. We have to stop ignoring our gut. It exists for a reason. And people ignore their gut and they stay in really terrible relationships. Stop ignoring your gut.
Perfect advice. Stop ignoring your gut. All her links are in the bio. And if you want to reach out to her, that's the way to go about it. I
Yep.
believe so. Thank you so much for doing this, Jennifer.
Thank you.